Welcome to the Sepang International Circuit for edition 18 of After the Flag. I'm Steve Day, I'm joined here by Matt Birt and Simon Crafar as we talk you through what happened here today. Coming up, of course, we talk about Yamaha ending that drought. 9 years since they won here in Malaysia. We'll of course look back at our predictions where things are not going very well for me, shall we say, and we'll see what we predicted and much else as well. We have a Moto2 World Champion to talk about also. Guys, Maverick Vinales victorious here today. On paper, I suppose it's what we expected, but then you never really know what to expect with Maverick Vinales. He got the job done though today, a fantastic start. He got into his rhythm, the rhythm that he's shown all weekend, and that was it. Once he got that sort of 1.5 second gap, Matt, it was gone.
Yeah, he did what we all thought he was going to do, what he thought he was going to do 1 week ago in Phillip Island, didn't he? The key for me was Maverick. He made the start, and crucially, he didn't get stuck too long behind Jack Miller. He was really aggressive. We know that the Cattys are hard to pass. Valentino Rossi proved that in the race. And once Maverick did hit the front, he was just able to go into relative cruise control. You know, Mark couldn't get through on Miller quick enough, and Maverick just rode an awesome race, probably as good as I've seen him race all season long. He was victorious, of course, in Assen, but he was brilliant. He got the job done. He threatened it with that pace that he had in FP3. I thought he was absolutely sensational, untouchable today.
Simon, a few rounds ago, maybe more than a few rounds ago, you said to us actually in one of the After the Flag editions that if Maverick could get everything together, he's going to be very hard to stop, and it happened here today.
Steve, you read my mind. We've all known for a while that Maverick is awesome rider. I'm a big fan of his riding, and today, like I said to him in Parc Ferme, Maverick, you got the start, the early laps and the finish. He put it all together, and when Maverick does that, he's hard to stop. The other thing is, Matt put it dead right, he didn't have to burn up tyres trying to pass Ducatis especially.
Obviously, we know who's finished second place. What a launch off the line for Marquez. Starting from 11th, after everything that happened yesterday, he said in the press conference a moment ago, he woke up feeling really, really sore after that crash. I'm not surprised, quite frankly. That was a proper cannonball launch. Even Maverick said he was surprised to see that it was +1 Marquez. What a ride.
Unbelievable. I mean, you know, starting from the 4th or 11th, you can never, ever write off Marquez. Today he showed two things for me. He's a great warrior. That was a massive crash he had in Q2 yesterday, and he's a great champion. You know, he doesn't need to take those kind of risks. Funnily enough, he said he actually, Mugello, I think 2015 was the last time he qualified so far back, and he watched the video last night, and he said today was probably the best first lap he's ever had in Motogp. Great launch off the line, then he was aggressive to make up a few places. Probably just took a little bit too long to get by Jack. I think Mark's admission, he wasn't going to have enough for Maverick. Maybe he might have been a bit closer, but he doffed his cap to Maverick, saying he was the faster guy all weekend, he was the better man. But you know, if you're 11th on the grid and you can still come through the second, that's mission accomplished. Nothing stops the guy, not even monster crashes in Q2.
No, he's now taken more points than any other rider after 18 rounds. Unbelievable, 395 points. Simon, yesterday's crash, a bit like the old 500cc days. How has he got out of bed and managed that?
You're right, Steve. We used to see 4 to 6 of those a weekend, sometimes a couple a day. Yeah, I'm glad that we don't anymore, because it's horrible, but it's still impressive, you know. The thing that made me think that he could get through to the podium was going to his debrief last night and seeing that he could at least mask that he was hurting, and he's tough, isn't he? You know, you cannot write him off. I thought he'd get through to the podium. The thing that surprised me was that first lap. The start and first lap was amazing. Like, to be, what was second at the end of the first?
Yeah.
There's, you know, to pass that many guys at that level, all trying their hearts out, without falling, without T-boning someone, well, I think was truly amazing. And to be honest, I really think if, as fast as Maverick was, if he didn't have to do that, I think he might have had a chance of doing a Phillip Island, you know, meaning if he'd got to start from second and get his toe and stay, I mean, I'd still have my money on Maverick, but you'd never know with Mark on the last lap.
Of course, there was quite a good, tasty battle for third place. In the end, it went to Andrea Dovizioso. A great job from the Italian, but he had to really, really work for it, Matt. He had a lot of interest from Jack Miller in the early stages that he had to see off. Valentino Rossi under intense pressure at the end. He was just thanking there in the press conference the power that he's got underneath him.
Yeah, it was a great battle. I mean, I think Andrea and Jack Miller, the two guys at the front of the race, we thought they were going to run that soft front tyre. They both did. We saw Jack seem to really hit troubles with that. He dropped backwards. There was a few skirmishes for him with Alex Rins. But Dovizioso, again, I think satisfied but not generally happy with his performance. You know, not close enough to Marquez or Maverick today. He felt like actually the soft front tyre was not his issue. Again, he was talking about rear grip. He said he really enjoyed the battle with Valentino because he knows that Valentino's going to be aggressive, but it's going to be clean. He's not worried about Valentino picking him up, lifting him up, or having any contact. We saw clearly though, you know, he had the horsepower. How many times did Valentino get close, but he just could not get close enough? That puts you in a bit of a luxury position when you're Dovizioso, because you know on those straights, Rossi and Rins had nothing for him, but again, the gap too big to the race win for Andrea Dovizioso. I've spoken to him a few times this year where he's been on the podium but just does not seem that happy about it.
No, he started from 10th on the grid, so he had to do a lot of work, much like Marquez. So in that case, you've got to take your cap off.
Exactly. I caught up with Davide Tadozzi a little while ago, and he is really happy because I know it's Ducati used to winning, but he said that Dovizioso did everything that he could have expected, you know, like from where he was on the grid to come through, and they hoped he could get a podium. They thought maybe even second if everything went right was possible, but they looked at Dovi's race times, laps, what he did, the lack of mistakes, and they're super happy. Quickly on the other side of the garage, Petrucci, same old troubles of overheating front tyre, trying to get it stopped in these hard braking areas with his extra weight, this temperature, and lack of front grip because of pushing that front so hard.
It looked like Jack Miller had some issues as well in the race. Let's talk about the guy who's in 4th place. Would it be a fair assessment to say that even though no one's really ever happy with 4th place, that was a much more promising 4th place for Valentino Rossi?
I think so. I think Valentino will take great encouragement from that result here today, Steve, because his pace was strong at the end of the race. Yeah. We've not been able to say that a lot about Valentino this year, and certainly over the last 5 or 6 races. They've been working round the clock 24/7 to try and get more durability out of that rear tyre. It looks like here, in really testing conditions, you know, this is a real test for Michelin, that they've made a breakthrough. He could not have done anything more, could he, to have hounded and pressured Andrea Dovizioso. Andrea held on, but it was clear and obvious, just like it was in Phillip Island last weekend, if the Yamaha had 5-10 extra horsepower, they are more in the game. But what else could Rossi have done?
I kind of get the feeling, Simon, with Valentino, if you look back at the race, and particularly the start, he did get mired up actually in the first couple of corners. He may well have finished on the podium had he got a better start here today.
Better start and not have to pass Dovizioso. Matt said it dead right. The Dukes are a nightmare to pass if you haven't got as much power, and not many bikes have. I spoke with Mayo Merigali about, who's obviously super happy with Maverick. Maverick, you know, did everything right, so nothing really to talk about there. Although he was worried about tyre dropping off. He said it was the longest race ever, waiting for it to drop off. But he said about Valentino that yes, they've improved the lack of tyre drop, but it's still a little bit there. They haven't totally fixed it to where they'd want to be. But he just said the nightmare of passing Dovi. Every time you saw so many times, he'd dive up the inside and have to push it to pass Dovizioso on the brakes. Is a nightmare to do anyway, because Dovi's really good. Duke's good at that. Then he'd have to run wide and he'd get back, and he says you use so much tyre doing that and waste so much time, you know. He actually felt that, Valentino told him we had a better pace than we showed, but we kept getting held up.
Of course, I'd like to try and get through everyone. I'm not sure if we'll have time because we need to talk about Moto2 as well. One thing I do really want to try and get out there is what on earth happened to the Petronas Yamaha SRT guys here today. Pole position for Fabio Quartararo, 3rd for Morbidelli. We'd kind of been bigging it up. We thought they might be getting Le Marseillaise ready for a magic win for Fabio here at Sepang. It did not happen. They were miles back, quite frankly, so much slower than we expected. I mean, guys, what happened? I know you're going to hopefully give us some insight. You've spoken to Wilco, but Matt, I mean, I think we were both baffled in the commentary box.
Really, really disappointing. I mean, when you're topped FP1, FP2, FP3, FP4, and you're on pole position, you're going into that race with both your bikes on the front row, your first home Motogp round with massive, massive expectations. It never really happened. Spoke to Franco Morbidelli after the race. He said same old problems for him. Did not have the rear grip underneath him. That's becoming a real issue for Franco. And Fabio Quartararo, he just said nightmare. He said the first lap was a disaster. His words, not mine. He couldn't stop the bike. He said, I think being in that group, because he missed the start, the front tyre pressure just went through the roof. had real issues stopping the bike. There's going to be a big inquest though down in that garage, because they were expecting to be fighting for the victory, not for 6 and 7 places. They were nowhere. I mean, for me, that was a massive, massive shock, because I could not see Fabio off the podium today.
Wilco said, you know, we're a rookie team, you know, in our rookie year anyway, and we should be happy with 6th and 7th, but we're not, you know, because of the lead up, with the expectations, you know, and all of us expected at least one of those bikes to be on the podium. He said about Fabio that he got a bit of a shocker start, wasn't in the clear air, and he said the front tyre pressure went through the roof, we've had a few times teams talking about this. Petrucci in this same race, a few times in the past, other riders complained about it. And they say Wilco said, when you've got a bunch of bikes in front pumping out 600 degrees each exhaust pipe, and this temperature, and the front tyre pressure goes up because of temperature, lack of grip. But he said, and the other thing is, having bikes in front of Fabio, he can't keep that thing rolling like his style is, keep it flowing. Much like Valentino was saying he would have liked to if the Dukes weren't in front of him.
Well, before we carry on with our assessment of what happened here in Malaysia, why don't we just take a peek back to yesterday and find out exactly what we predicted for the Grand Prix of Malaysia. Okay, this is my top 3 then for the Malaysian Grand Prix. I would not be at all surprised if Marc Marquez came through and actually won this race, even though he's starting from 11th. But I know I've got a lot of catching up to do here in the points, so I've got to go something a little bit different. Quartararo's winning this one here in Malaysia, Vinales second, Valentino Rossi third. It will be a Yamaha. 1, 2, 3.
Well, my predictions for the Malaysian Grand Prix, really tough. We're in Malaysia, we're in Sepang. I'd love to say Petronas Yamaha SRT are going to take a famous victory here, but based on his pace in FP3, I'm going to go for Maverick Vinales to win and make amends for the disappointment of Phillip Island. Fabio Quartararo, I think, is going to run in really close. So Yamaha 1-2 for me. And I think really, really tough for third place. One of 5 or 6 guys I could have picked, but I'm going to go for Alex Rins to come through from the third row 7th. So my top 3, Vinales, Quartararo and Rins.
I was going to go with my heart and say Fabio to win, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go Maverick to win, even though he let me down in Phillip Island. He's super strong here again. I think he'll do it. Second is a harder one for me. I'm going, but I'm going to go for Fabio. I really hope he does it. Keeps that tyre going. Third, I was going to go Alex Rins until I went to Marquez's debrief, and he's still all right. You know how tough he is. He's going to be on the podium, second or third. I'll put him in third. I think he's going to be really rude on the first lap and get his elbows out and carve a few people up. And if he stays on, he'll be third. Yeah, that's my prediction for the Malaysian Grand Prix. It'll probably rain and I'll be wrong.
Well, there you see then, prediction-wise, we weren't that great. These guys got a point each. It rumbles on to Valencia then for the final round. As you can see, we're going to move on to Moto2. We have a very special guest, Alex. A huge congratulations. You are now a 2-time world champion. How does that sound?
Well, feeling so good, so happy. I don't have words to describe what I'm feeling now. It's like in a dream, you know. Yeah. I don't want to wake up for that dream. So yeah, I'm only looking to celebrate now.
Big celebrations tonight in Kuala Lumpur, Matt.
Yeah, Alex, many congratulations on the championship this year. The pressure's been building, but this weekend you've been so strong, pole position and the podium. How have you found dealing with that pressure? It looks like Mark's been helping you out as well, saying tranquilo, relax.
Yeah, well, it was not easy. You know that Australia, especially Japan, was not so bad, but Australia is a difficult track when you have pressure and when you need to control a little bit the situation. But here I enjoy so much on the bike. I think I had the opportunity to try to fight for the victory. Tom was pushing so much and he put a lot of pressure to me, but in the end we keep that pressure behind, and it was a really nice feeling after the checkered flag.
Alex, to become a world champion, every world champion has to dig really deep, you know, dig really deep inside themselves to achieve it. I want to know what was the point you remember was the hardest, where you really had to push yourself to achieve, you know, You know what I'm saying?
Well, here for sure, after bad results, but I think the key of the season was that after the crisis, we revived this feeling after Jerez, after Assen, and I think was the key of the season. After a bad result, we came to the next race and we won. So this is, I think, the key. The team helped me to do that, this for sure, but I think was the key. We won 5 races, so in Valencia full gas again, no pressure, flow, follow, and I want to celebrate for sure in front of all my fans, of the Spanish fans, so yeah, I want to enjoy Valencia GP like I do it all the season.
Alex, thank you so much for joining us. Many congratulations. We're going to let you go. Go
Thank
and
you.
enjoy
Thank
yourself.
you.
Get some
Thank
beers.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Alex.
Thank
Great
you.
Alex Marquez,
Thank
then,
you very much.
thank you very much to Alex for joining us. What a great job he's done. The Marquez brothers have done it again, as they did back in 2014. Before we close the show, of course, we have to talk about a couple of others. Alex Rins, not to be his day today. He was missing bodywork at the end of the race, of course. Jack Miller, he fell back. Bits of bodywork off his bike as well. Just a quick summary on the Mir Zarco thing. I'm quite interested to get your thoughts on this, because from the camera and our angle from the commentary box, Matt, it looked like Mir wiped Zarco out, and he's taken a penalty for it. But then there's an interesting little twist to that we'll come to with Simon. Your thoughts on that? Because I thought Zarco was outrageously good today.
I thought it was sensational all weekend. You know, his first full dry weekend, second outing on the LCR Honda. He showed what a true class act he is. That guy's a double Moto2 world champion. Pole positions and podiums on the Yamaha and Motogp. You don't just overnight become a bad rider. He showed his true class this weekend. To be inside the top 10 in Q2 was absolutely awesome. And he was having a great race. You know, he was ahead of Cal Crutchlow by a pretty decent margin. You know, Cal is no slouch. He was on the podium last weekend in Phillip Island. Yeah, I agree, mate. Looking at the camera shots, it looked like Mir just went in super aggressive. We know Joan isn't an aggressive rider and just cleaned him right out. The stewards obviously thought the same because they gave him a long lap penalty. I was really gutted because everything that Zarco's been through so far this season, Simon knows what it's like when you're down in the doldrums, you're not sure whether your career's stalling. To come back and produce the performance he did this weekend shows he's got unbelievable mental strength. I really wished he'd have seen the checker flag.
Well, Lucio obviously wasn't happy. Both of his men, unfortunately, down in the gravel trap today. Cal didn't have the day he wanted either. You can understand why he's upset, but then it turns out Davide Brivio's also upset.
Well, I spoke to Lucio, and he was, I got to say, you see in his eyes, he was really pleased with Zarco.
Yep.
He wasn't just going through the motions of telling me something. He was really pleased with him, and he was saying if he has a bit more time on the bike, and you know, so I think he's going to get more time on the bike, maybe even lots more time. But he was horrified about rims. He was really not happy, you know. And I didn't say anything, but I wandered down to Davide Brivio into Suzuki garage and got his take on that particular point, among other things. And he said, I said, what happened in that move? And he said, well, Simon, after the incident, Zarco walked to our garage and apologised to Joan Mir. And he was like, what happened? This is after Joan had to do the penalty, ride through, long lap penalty. And he said what happened was Jack was in front, Zarco right behind him in the turn, and Jack went a tiny bit wide, so Zarco Wilco Zeelenberg, he's off home. Joan Mir, right behind Zarco, sees them both drift out a little bit, goes, right, I'm going to go on the inside, and Zarco decided, I'm going to go inside Jack, and they all hit together, which you can't tell that on camera angle. No. So, I mean, I believe him if Joan genuinely went and said sorry. It's one of those things, isn't it?
Hey guys, we've been away for 3 weeks, so I think it's time to close this one. We all need to go home. We all need to see our family. We all need some beers. We want to try and get back now to the final round in Valencia. Thank you so much for joining us here this weekend. It's been a memorable 3 weeks. There's been some fun, but of course we should just remember that this sport can be mighty dangerous, and all of our thoughts here at Motogp, of course, with Afridza Munandar, who sadly passed away here yesterday. Thank you for joining us here in After the Flag. We'll see you in a couple of weeks back on European soil.
Vinales has got the inside line on Jack Miller through turn number 11, so Vinales now hits the front.
Marquez is up to second.
The two Ducatis ran each other wide, and in one lap, Marc Marquez has gone from 11 to second.
The checkered flag is out and he's done it. Vinales is victorious. It's Mavericks Malaysia as he wins for Yamaha.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem of Spain.